The golden afternoon light was still spilling through the window when my best friend's name lit up my phone. I answered expecting flower arrangements. Instead, she was sobbing, voice fractured, and she said I kissed him. We got drunk and I kissed him. 3 words, and my entire futuria December wedding, a new house, 4 years of trust was ash in my hands. Now I'm left with one question: who do you believe when the 2 people you trust most tell you 2 completely different stories and the truth is just another lie? I remember the exact weight of the phone in my palm, how the edges of the case pressed into my fingerprints as I listened. She was crying so hard I could hear the wet, hitching gasps between each word. My fiancé had moved to her city 3 months ago for the job, one we'd celebrated with champagne, and a list of weekend trips we'd take once we were married. She was my best friend, my sister in all but blood. They were supposed to be taking care of each other, having dinner, making sure he wasn't lonely in a new place. I was the one who'd asked her to look out for him. The guilt of that request is a separate, colder knife twisting alongside the betrayal. I had to sit down. The kitchen floor was hard and unyielding against my knees, but I couldn't feel it. All I could feel was the phone vibrating against my ear as she sobbed and confessed to that first, drunken kiss that happened days ago. Then she told me about yesterday. He had tried again. He had pushed her against the kitchen counter and tried to make out with her, and she had stopped him. She said she couldn't keep it a secret. She loved me too much. Her story was a landslide of details, every one of them a rock crushing the life I thought I was building. I asked her to hold on, my voice not sounding like mine at all. It was distant, thin, a stranger's voice in a strange room. I dialed his number with a thumb that felt numb. When he answered, he sounded so casual, so normal, it made my stomach clench. "Hey babe, what's up?" The babe was a slap. I could hear the false cheer in his voice, the performance. He was playing the role of the loving fiancé, the man who had just sent me a picture of the engagement ring on his finger a few hours earlier. I told him what she said. I braced myself for denial, for anger, for anything but the flat, dismissive tone that followed. We hugged, that's all. Just a hug goodbye. She's exaggerating, you know how she gets. I felt the world tilt, a silence slide into an alternate dimension where up was down, and the man I loved was a stranger wearing his skin. A cold thread of certainty wound through me. My best friend, flawed and panicked as she was telling the truth. And the worst part was the immediate, sickening realization that I was going to have to force him to admit it. The act of putting them both on speaker was the most surgical thing I have ever done. I told her I was adding him, and she went silent. I told him she was here, and I heard the sharp intake of his breath. For a single, bizarre moment, I felt like a judge or a god, presiding over a trial of the damned. Then they started talking. It was like watching 2 animals circle each other. He accused her of being drunk and throwing herself at him. She screamed back that he had pursued her, that he was a coward. Their voices overlapped, sharp and ugly, full of a familiarity that was intimate and sickening. This wasn't 2 people denying an affair. This was 2 people who had shared a secret, who had argued about it, who had a history of their own that I was only now discovering. They sounded like lovers in a cheap film, blaming each other for getting caught. I was a ghost in the room, listening to my own funeral. The kitchen light above me hummed, a high-pitched, buzzing sound that drilled into my skull. My chest felt hollow, like someone had scooped out everything soft and left only this brittle, aching shell. I looked down at my left hand, at the ring that was now just a piece of metal, heavy and foreign. The smell of the coffee I had been about to drink was suddenly rancid in the air. I felt the bile rise in my throat, a hot, sour wave that I swallowed down with a gulp that was too loud in the silence that fell between their accusations. That moment was the pain spike the writers talk about. The explicit details, the arguing, it all came together in a blinding flash of clarity. I wasn't disoriented because I didn't understand. I was disoriented because I understood too much. I understood that I had built a 4-year relationship and a lifelong friendship on a foundation of sand, and a single confession had washed it all away. The person I was before this call, trusting, happy fiancé, was dead. She was a character I had been playing, a costume I had been wearing, and it was gone. The reality punch landed right in my solar plexus. The 2 people I trusted most in the world weren't just betraying me, they were revealing themselves to be selfish, fearful, and utterly unworthy of my love or my loyalty. He was a coward who couldn't even tell me the truth when it was the only thing that might have saved a shred of dignity. She was a woman who had let guilt fester until it forced her to speak, not out of love for me, but to relieve her own pressure. They were both trying to save themselves. The silence after their argument was deafening, heavy with the wreckage of my former life. I could hear my own breath, shallow and ragged. I could feel a single tear escape, not from sadness, but from a shock so profound my body didn't know how else to react. Then, I heard my own voice. It was low and flat, with a finality that surprised even me. "You are both dead to me." The words were a tombstone. I pressed the end call button, and the world went absolutely silent. The hum of the refrigerator was gone, the distant traffic was gone, everything was gone. It was just me and the wreckage. I sat on the floor for a long time, just staring at the blank screen of my phone. I thought about our wedding venue, the flowers, the guest list that was already half-written. I thought about the life we had planned, the children we had named. It all felt like a story someone else had told me. When I finally moved, it was to call my mother. Her voice, warm and confused, was an anchor. "Mom," I said, and my voice cracked. "He cheated on me, with Sarah. It's over." I told her the whole story in a monotone, and she listened without interrupting, and when I was done, she didn't offer platitudes. She said, "I'm coming over. We'll get through this." My father took the phone and told me I was still their daughter, and that I was strong, and that this wasn't my failure. It was his. Their simple, unshakable belief in me was a foundation I didn't know I was still standing on. I called my other close friend, the one who lived across town, and I just sobbed onto the phone for a minute before I could speak. She said she'd be over in 10. I'm still sitting on the kitchen floor. The sun has started to set, casting long, distorted shadows across the room. I can hear the doorbell ring, signaling my mother and my friend have arrived. I should get up. I should let them in. But my body feels like it's filled with lead. The pieces of me are scattered all over this floor, and I don't know how to put them back together. I don't know who I am without the wedding, without him, without her. I'm 32 years old, and my entire future has become a blank, terrifying page. The only thing I know for certain, the only truth I have left, is that he lied to my face, and she broke my heart, and the world I knew is gone. And I have to figure out who I am in the one that remains.
The fiancé's behavior is a textbook cocktail of avoidance and self-preservation. By moving to the same city as your best friend, he engineered proximity, whether consciously or not, an alternative source of validation. The drunken kiss was a boundary test. The second attempt, sober and deliberate, reveals a pattern of entitlement. His immediate reducing the incident to a "huggy's not a mistake." It's a calculated bid to control the narrative and retain his position as the good man while undermining your perception of reality. The subsequent argument with your friend on the call is the most telling. He treats her as a co-conspirator rather than a betrayer, shifting blame to her, as if she seduced him. This is cowardice dressed as confusion. He is not conflicted about you, he is conflicted about being caught.